Welcome back. So this lesson, let's just try and have a look at the problem that when I click a folder again, like this, it'll pop up again twice, right? Instead, I want when I click a folder, I want it to clean up the code and go back to the folder I just clicked and only show that folder, right? Just like you would expect if you click in some kind of navigation inside a file system, right? So when I click this guy, I want this to be removed and just go back to whatever I clicked. That makes sense. Let's try and see if we can figure this one out. Now what we want to do is kind of whenever we add a new folder, we need to start out by actually validating and splicing our current array if there's already if that folder is already used. Now that's pretty simple because we already have the unique identifier for a folder right here inside the folder column. So we should be able to identify a specific folder and actually getting the index of that folder. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to say columns, and on columns there's a function called index of, right? This one. Now you might have used that already, but there's also one called find index, and that's more exciting. That's actually the one I want to use. Now the find index, we can get each column available, so I'll just write column right here, and that column I can actually now use that in the code to find a specific index. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the column, and we're going to use it as a specific type of column, which is going to be a folder column like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small hack right here for now. I'm going to say that I expect that the column right here is going to be as a folder column. So that's pretty much just typecasting it, explaining that I want the column to be a folder column, because now I have the main available, which is the actual folder in there, and there I can get and use the unique identifier. So now I have access for each column right now. In this column I have the folder's unique identifier, pretty much meaning that whenever I'm going to click a new folder right here, I'll kind of just navigate and figure out right now when I'm clicking this guy who's actually available, what folder's available right now. So I have to kind of remove everybody until I get to this point when I click this point, and then add everybody again. That might make sense, and it might also be hard to understand, but let me try and do it and maybe it'll be easier. So what I want to do is kind of just make a check that if this unique identifier right here actually matches the one that I'm sending in from the outside. So I'm going to do folder.uniqueID right here. If those match, that's going to mean that I already have this folder in the index. So I'll just keep that index right here. And if the index is equal -1, it means I didn't find it. And if the index is -1, I just want to add the folder right away. I don't want to do anything else. But if the index is not -1, so let me just try and show you right here. If the index is not -1, that would mean that I found this folder and it's already in my columns, right? So that means that I'm clicking something that's already been fetched from Firebase once. And that would mean that I have to go back in the structure, remove all the columns, and go back to this level again. So if that one is available, I need to kind of splice my current columns, pretty much meaning that I'm just going to remove everything from my current index and onwards. So let's just try and do that. So again, let's just try and see if it works, and then we can have a talk about what actually happens. Clicking right here, clicking right here. So now I'm kind of going through, I have 3 columns right now inside my list of columns, and when I click this guy, I'm going to find out, whoops, this guy already exists. So I'm going to remove all the columns after this guy, and then I'm just going to add this guy again, right? So when I click this, I'm cleaning up all columns and adding this guy again from Firebase. Click, click, nothing happens. Cleaning all columns, going back here, right? So that's kind of how it works. Now again, we're getting an error because I didn't actually make a validation. I didn't make the check that the folder exists. Of course, you need to do that before you do anything else. So just add it in the if statement. I just wanted to show you guys how this worked before we actually did this. So let's just try and go back right here and try again. Click, click. Now we don't get the issue, and if we jump back, we only show the folder that we clicked, right? So that's all we had to do. Now we kind of have a way of removing columns to kind of go back in the index again if we want to. And still we're getting the newest data from Firebase every time we click because of the way we're actually working with the code. Every time I click, I go to Firebase and I get the newest data available. So that's it for this lesson. See you next time. Have fun.